立法會主席。
The President. Government Motions. Proposed resolution moved by the Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury under the Public Finance Ordinance. Members who wish to speak, please press the Request to Speak button, and I'll call upon the Secretary to speak and move the motion. President, I move that the motion as printed on the agenda be passed. The purpose of this resolution is to seek funds on account to enable the government to carry on its services between the start of the financial year on the 1st of April 2025 and the time when the Appropriation Ordinance 2025 comes into operation. This is an essential procedure. The specific arrangements also follow those of recent years. According to the budget timetable this year, the Legislative Council will resume the second reading debate and conduct the third budget meeting of the Appropriation Bill 2025 at its meeting on the 16th of April and 30th of April 2025, respectively. As such, the Appropriation Ordinance 2025 will not come into operation before the 30th of April 2025. To enable the government to ensure that government will not heed to hold public services, including services closely related to people's livelihoods such as education, social welfare, healthcare, and security due to the lack of funds when the new year starts on the 1st of April 2025, we need to propose this proposal. The funds on account sought under each subhead, in accordance with the fourth paragraph, have been determined with reference to the relevant provisions in the 2025-26 estimate of expenditure. The initial amount of funds under each has been incorporated requirements. In gist, the proposed funds on account should be able to cope with around 2 months of the government's operational requirements. The aggregate amount of funds on account is 177,748,88,000 amount before the Appropriation Ordinance comes into operation. This represents around 28% of the total appropriation of 639,714,465,000 under the bill. For recurrent expenditure subheads, we in general seek 20% of the provisions as funds on account. For non-recurrent and capital expenditure subheads, due to the irregular and lumpy nature, 100% of their provisions as shown in the draft estimates is sought. The government has to use a large amount of financial resources each day to provide public services. In 2025-26 financial year, major government expenditure items to be settled within the first week exceeds $12.6 billion. These include subvention payments of around $8.2 billion to the Hospital Authority, payments for the Comprehensive Social Security Assistance and Social Security Allowance totaling about $1.4 billion to about 100,000 families, 130,000 individuals respectively. Grants of around $1.8 billion to University Grants Committee-funded universities. Subsidies of around $547 million to about 740 kindergartens, and pensions gratuity of around $730 million to retired civil servants. There are also other expenses such as salaries of contract staff as well as accounts payable to suppliers. To ensure normal operation of the government, I ask members to support the resolution. It takes time to complete the relevant procedure after passage of the vote on account resolution, including the Gazette process and procedures for issuance of the vote on account warrant, so that the government can make payments starting from the 1st of April as usual. Subject to the above aggregate amount not being exceeded, the resolution enables the Financial Secretary to vary the funds on account in respect of any subhead. But these variations must not exceed the provisions of that subhead in the 25-26 estimates of expenditure. To enhance transparency and in line with the established practice, we will report to the Finance Committee of this Council if the Financial Secretary has exercised this authority to meet necessary requirements. The vote on account will be subsumed under the Appropriation Ordinance 2025 upon its enactment and commencement. President, I beg to move. Mr. Dennis Leung.
然係支持通過。
I speak in support of the proposed resolution under the Public Finance Ordinance. The sum is $177.74888 trillion to enable the government to carry on its services between the start of the financial year on 1st of April 2025 and the time when the Appropriation Ordinance 2025 comes into operation. In Annex 1 and Annex 2, you can see that, or Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, the head of expenditure, the percentage of provision shown in estimates would range from 25% to 100%. There are 3 heads that have 100%. 1, Government Logistics Department's Traffic Accident Victims Assistance Scheme levies. The 2nd, Social Welfare Department assistance for patients and their families and emergency relief. We have also the Social Welfare Department's CSSA scheme and Social Security Allowance scheme having a 30% provision. I speak in support of this to carry on the services for the public, and we need the funds for the development of Hong Kong. Legislative Council has always been pragmatic. Electoral members would deal with funding proposals in accordance with the considerations needed. And we will soon have the Special Finance Committee sessions. And on 16th and 30th of April, we will have budget meetings. We are advancing from stability to prosperity. We should all work together still to improve the economy, because in the end, that would benefit the public. I hope that the government will also deepen reforms to meet the needs of the public so that the public would feel happiness even more. President, I so submit. Does any other member wish to speak? If not, the Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, would you like to speak again? President, I would like to thank the member for speaking. Right now, the appropriation bill has been introduced into Legislative Council, and we will soon have Finance Committee and budget meetings in April, and members may speak at the relevant meetings to express their views. I thank the member for supporting the proposed resolution. And between the start of the financial year on 1st of April and the time when the Appropriation Ordinance 2025, we would like to carry on our services. I so submit. I now put the question to you that the Secretary's motion be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed.